was mediation from local authorities, mediation from our MECs, from any political structure. It was because we decided that our community has suffered long enough, and we will take to the streets and we will march and we will present our case and our memorandum to the gates of Engen. Why I'm saying this is because as of today, we want to give Engen 14 days. 14 days to respond, and for them to respond positively for this community. So Parliament must know that the day when Engen shuts down, it's not because this community has been a ticking time bomb for the past 60 years. Everybody knows about the problems that we experience here at Engen. I want to show you the lies that they spoke in this particular presentation at Engen. One, Engen said that they had a prohibition order from the Department of Labor, so we can't access that point. They could have in advance communicated it to the portfolio committee. Two, they failed to be transparent enough to say that unit was not manned by Engen, it was not maintained by Engen, and it was not operated by Engen, it was operated by a third-party vendor. And that third-party vendor did not produce a report that went into the report of this investigation. That third-party vendor has not even been mentioned because Engen feels they are too big. They have the bigger shoulders, and they can bulldoze anyone that comes to find out about it. Because had they given that third-party vendor, and I can guarantee you, that third-party vendor does not have the qualifications and the competency levels to man and contribute it. I say this confidently, that this area of ours is the biggest human resources of engineering in the whole country. We have built every refinery that is existing in this country. The only reason why government fails to stand up the way it stands up is because majority of the engineering people are from the colored communities. The businesses that are on our fenceland community, we have over 20 to 30 of the biggest progressive, highly transformed businesses that have built this refinery, that maintains this refinery. But Engen continues to ignore our competency levels, our technical skills, and our capabilities and capacity to maintain and carry this out. They are using labor brokers. And the labor broker, what he does, he brings anyone that is not competent enough to maintain this particular plant. Therefore, we had so many explosions. And you will find out that as we go along, and as we speak, you will find out that on a national level, we have been engaging Engen. On a national level. And I think it's time that, yes, it's good that the portfolio committee is listening to us on the filling in of the gaps. And here are some of the gaps that we need to fill in. One, the use of labor brokers and poorly paid services. Two, the incompetent and incapacity and lack of skills and technical skills to maintain this particular plant, where our people have over 20 to 30 to 40 years of experience in this particular refinery. Our companies that we exist, I am the president of the oil and gas, the only one legacy that Quincy belongs to. And we have 20 of the most progressive and the most transformed companies that run these refineries, separate, Engen, Sasol, all over. We've been there. And we said to Engen, we have the most perfect model. We have whenever there's a shutdown, 70 to 80% of the labor comes from just this community. These fenceline communities, Meerbank, Love, Amnazi, and Durban South. So that tells you that all we are good for is a 3 weeks and 6 weeks and 7 weeks shutdown. But the permanent employment, when that CEO presented, he did not present statistics, he presented a report that was written for you because he doesn't know what he's talking about. We don't have no permanent employment here. We don't have no permanent maintenance contracts here. We just call to come and fix up and repair and do it quickly. So, Honorable Chair, I wouldn't be too long in this here. But my colleagues, as we move forward, will show you how Engen has failed us in the community. And we have taken and we have protested and went to Engen. We stopped Engen from operating once. And we will continue stopping Engen. And the day we stop Engen, Parliament don't need to take a decision about shutting Engen down. We will shut Engen down. Because Engen, they're from Himalaya or wherever they come from. Malaysia, where they come from. Their kids are not breeding in these places. Their kids are not suffering the way our kids are suffering. But as Quincy spoke, and he said, look up here. Because what he said is that he's got CSI programs, he has this, he has that. They must not lie. Because we wouldn't be sitting here and standing up for our community if those are not the beneficiaries, what we require from Engen. So Engen, with all due respect to you as government, we are telling you, we as community, as people, and as leaders of our people, we will take that struggle to Engen right up until its maximum level. And Engen needs to know that. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Foster. I belong to the Ost Black Business Forum. Ost Black Business Forum. In 2016, we handed a memorandum to Engen on all these issues that we're having today. And that's mainly Israel, and Alexander. I think in 2017, 2018, they also handed over a memorandum again. But what Engen did was interdicted them instead of listening to the complaint of the community. Hence, we have a problem. Engen is owned by regulations. The guy that removes the waste from Engen, he stays in Monaco. So all this that's happening in Engen doesn't benefit us locally. There are no local trucks or truck owners from Engen that stay in this community. Everywhere else in the country they are. The percentage that is given to the local people is given to someone in parliament, not to us. So we cannot go on and act like there's nothing wrong in our area. For example, when the blast happened in Engen, the municipality did not send anybody out to the flat where the child was burning. The municipality shut the whole of Engen down to say, well, let us safeguard our kid. Because that's who's paying the municipality. Now, if you want us to go back to the municipality as getting paid by Engen, we can't do that. Their lights are running, our children get load shedded. How is that possible? Load shedding only for us poor people, not for the rich. How can that be? Because they pay millions and millions and millions to the electricity department, so they are different to us. That in itself speaks volumes. I have to say, when we look at the explosion, we said this before, there is no safety plan drawn up by the municipality to us as the people of Wentworth. If the place explodes, where do we run to? The race has been sold by people to a private sector. Who did that in the Turkey municipality? Did they contribute to the community? No. So the community is nobody. Let's talk about the national key point, Mr. Chair. The national key point I understood was based in apartheid times, when there was a threat in this country. Today, a father wants to put a gate and he goes to repair something in the refinery. Yeah? What did he pass? But when a person from Wentworth and lives here and takes a stone and goes to Wentworth, wants a job, at the last minute you say you're a police clearance. So one thing before you immediately tell us, how would you fast track that police clearance for local people to get a job here on the 6 weeks shutdown? That is a system put in place to deny our people the opportunity of employment. Our kids do not get bursaries here. Bursaries go to people that children that are employed for Engen, they children get us bursaries. Now, me myself, Mr. Chair, at the age of 35, I didn't know what they did in the Engen refinery. I walked in there knowing nothing. And I was sort of a mechanical fitter. In a big thing like this, I walked in with no even experience. I didn't even know what was a flange. When they told me you won't get a Christmas tree, I said it's not Christmas time. Because I didn't know what a Christmas tree was. Then they brought this whole thing with a lot of valves and taps and said, you put this on. If me, as a person off the street, could go and walk in a big thing like that, there's something wrong with this chick. This is why we've got this problem. People are not taking on experience of what they know. So this is the gatekeeper of Engen, the procurement guy. His brother changed his surname so he could get a job in Engen. But Engen can't see it. The people working there can't see it. We're saying to you, the best thing is we can do for Engen. The national people will be respected. It's the white line on that side of the road. The white line on this side of the road belongs to the community. So for us to take a decision to shut Engen down, we ask the SAP, we ask the Metro Police, go and do your homework and see which part is the national key point. Because we end up with Americana right here. And Ramaphosa will support that because we don't believe that we should be intimidated by big giants like this. We're saying this side of the road belongs to us. We have the right to be on it. But when the police come here for demonstrations, they quickly say disperse. Disperse of what? On what act are they acting? Because you're not violating the act. You're not on the Engen side. Engen side is a white line, solid white line in the middle of the road. Nothing has been done. Engen sent someone from Cape Town to come and talk to the community. No one did that. They're paying 120,000 to 150,000 a day at the B&B. We did them a favor. We said to the community, please understand, let us rather take your money and invest in your future and do up your home with it. Little did we know that we're setting our people up. Because once it got out to the B&B, it was fuel. How? We said, what happened now? Phone is something I'm not dealing with. Phone is something I'm not dealing with. Right now, people don't know who's dealing with their matter. They're stuck. Then they get told that the fire was not caused by Engen, the fire was caused by electrical problem. That's what the white guy told us that they were still the infantry. I said to him, boss, how did you come to the conclusion? Then Engen said out there, they're able to go see if there's any chemicals on people's things. He finds no traces of chemicals. So whatever flew from Engen is the only thing that has chemicals. Now we're saying to them, we made it stupid. Maybe if we are currently a stupid, we'll accept that. But it's either one or two things is going to happen. It's either we will shut Engen down at some stage, but we cannot tolerate Engen's lack of commitment to us. They cannot do this for the last 60 years and we just sit like stupid and look at them. The child has been hurt. Nobody ever phoned anyone. I'm the one who was leading this thing. I came to say, I said, gentlemen and ladies, I can't lead somewhere, I can't see what's going on. Because when we email Engen, it does not respond. So, if you can't respond to an emergency, there's something wrong. They said it was a disaster. Where's the funding for this disaster? Because we don't see it in Tegbini. Nobody came out from Tegbini. You say, how can we help you? Did you blanket say what? Nothing. Yeah? The child is suffering. Does anybody care? No. But if there's somebody else, the child, it's a different story. So the only way for the chair, I think Engen needs timelines. For too long we've spoken to Engen, spoken to Engen. We told him the last time we had a meeting at the gate. We shut it for a long time. If this happens again, we'll shut Engen down completely. Engen, remember, before this explosion, only thing kept Engen alive was the money that the government was willing to put into Engen to make sure they stay afloat. I don't know if it was 200-something million rand that the government was putting. Come say, shut Engen down as far as we are concerned as a community. Shut it down. Put the storage opportunity. Our people have more employment and more chances. Then we'll have a stake in the thing that you're building. Right now we have not even a 1% stake. We have no claims, we have nothing. So who is looking after us? You go to any other place, a muscleway. There's enough for the community. Whether it be clinics, whether it be training schools, there is nothing here. So you look at us kind of people, it's fine. They're drugs, they're smoking drugs. Why are they smoking drugs? They can't get a drug right on their doorstep. What happened? To become a student to stand in the corner. Let's hustle, this thing is smoking. As we speak now, they're shooting each other again. What has the government done? Nothing. So I'm saying to Chair, for one thing, the government show us that they care about us colored people. We cannot be the victims of this here, where the government is just neglecting us. Because we're going to stand up at some stage, and we are saying to you, we'll bring this municipal meeting and tell them, please shoot us, man. Because we are tired. There's nothing our children are living for. What are our children's future here? Zero. They're going to finish school. We've got people that finish school with A's, yeah, in every subject. But we're given opportunity in Engen. Never ever happened. So what are we doing?
Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Frank Alexander. We welcome you, Honorable Chair, esteemed members of the committee, provincial, local, as well as esteemed members of the commission and all other protocols observed. I want to speak about the issue of maintenance, because once you come, that explosion is a sequence of events that transpired on that facility. So I want to give you some facts of who does the maintenance, the day-to-day maintenance. It's a labor broker. I'm going to give you the year from when. From 2007. I'll say that again so that it can be internalized by your panel. 2007, they had a labor broker there. When we met with the GM at the time, it was Willem was there, and he says, no, this is a transfer. Just because the maintenance company that was there, that was in official maintenance capacity, they were taken off the site. Prime Serve was supposed to be there for 1 year. We blinked our eyes. Another company came in known as Capacity. They eventually, my apologies, they eventually converted to a company called Adcorp Blue, and it's now 14 years that a labor broker is doing maintenance on a facility of that nature that they claim is of such a high safety standard. It is the apex of impossibility that you can have a labor broker doing maintenance and then expect there to be safety protocols in place. Now, when there is legislative maintenance that the government prescribes, the labor broker, because it's already on the site, is the only company that does not screen workers. So when you have an example of that, Mr. Michael Costa's example, you have a guy that will walk onto that place without having been screened based on his ability to participate as an artisan there. In our last meeting, for the purposes of clarification to your panel, myself and the lady on the left of me, Melanie Israel, we highlighted these safety issues to them in the form of a so-called protest. It was a peaceful protest, but this is the reason that Melanie and myself are interdicted. So for the purposes of yours comprehension, when we as a community stand up and we want to claim back our humanity, they criminalize it. Y'all are proof of that now today, because guess what they said? They said that it's not safe for them to be active participants here where we are. It is safe for you guys because you're a trust community. It is not safe for them. Why? You guys are not here all the time. They are here with us every day. That alone should tell you, that statement alone should tell you in what esteem they hold us as families, as members of the human family. That alone should tell you who they see us as being. So let me come to I've dealt with that issue of the maintenance, the labor broker doing maintenance on that company. This refinery is the only refinery in South Africa, the only one that has no community training center. None. Sapref has one, Sasolburg has two. In the company now, the new one that took over Caltex, they have one in Mosul. This is the only one. There's no other refinery that doesn't have a community training center. A couple of years ago, when engagement with Engen, we highlighted the fact that the trucks that frequent this road, Tara Road, they frequent this road, Duranta Road, as well as Lansdowne, the area there that this community will come to that's been moved there. The height of noise pollution, 24/7, but not a single logistics engagement with this community. For the last 60 years, there's not even a Code 14 program. You know, you have the simulation program where you say, okay, look, for all the damage that we have been doing to you all environmentally, we can juxtapose the damage that we're doing there with the benefits that you guys are receiving here. There isn't any. So even when you do a comparative analysis of how we as a community benefit, there isn't none. So it might sound weird to you all when we say that we want the refinery shut down. It doesn't make sense to you when we say that. But if you look retrospectively of how they treated us over the years, it is clear that we do not benefit, because why would I want to shut down the place that I'm benefiting from as a member of the community? For every family that is here, if we are benefiting, on what basis do we want to shut it down? So we heard a little bit about CSI. It will be an unfair statement to say that there isn't any. It's just that it's not here. There is CSI, but not in this community. There is. So to make it practical, Engen has sponsored now recently, we don't go back in decades, SA Rugby to the tune of millions. But if you came now, I'm not sure how you drove, you look at the grounds around Engen, dilapidated. In totality, dilapidated. They sponsor athletics. There's not a single school program that they have. Just in the Wentworth area, we have 3 high schools, this being one of them, and 6 primary schools, that's 9. There's not a single program, athletics, nothing, rugby, nothing. the ground, absolutely, totally, and completely nothing. So when they say there's CSI, indeed, just not for us. When they say there's work, indeed, just not for us. We are appealing to you all. Whenever we stand up and want to declare and engage in our quest for our humanity, Engen criminalizes that. And they use apartheid legislation at the national key point as a method to subdue us. You see, you've got to have a balance with these things. The national key point signage regulation speaks of certain meters, kilometers, etc. around the refinery, but yeah, in reality we have a school that's not even 10 meters away from Engen. So let's look at the school now that's not 10 meters away. They have absolutely, totally and completely no succession plan for anything. So I'm sure you have not seen a single sign here that says the Engen workshop for engineers, the Engen workshop for this, for that, nothing, absolutely, totally and completely nothing. Not from this morning, for the last decades. So if by accident we were born in a different timeline, maybe of 20 years, we have people that can tell us, no, for the last there's nothing like that. Now, the last point that I wish to make, for the purposes of time, and I want to respect your time, we're grateful, by the way, that you guys have come. We want to say that when members of the human family get treated in the manner that Engen has treated us, we want you all to know that our response and our reaction is not born out of madness. It's not born out of the fact that we don't know and don't have other alternatives. We have tested those. We have tested those alternatives. So when you hear stories of our community, we want you all to understand that everything we have tried, Engen does not lie some of the time. They lie all the time. In fact, the time when they tell the truth, it's a result of a double lie. So I want to give you an example of that double lie that we're speaking about. For all the work that has taken place on this particular refinery, the companies that come and do work here do not emanate from our community. The subcontractors. So let's leave the high school work up. The high school, say, the high school engineer. Let's talk about cleaning. Let's talk about general work, nothing. So we want you to understand that the nature of the relationship between the two of us is very adversarial, but it's not as a result of us. We are responding to their adversarial nature towards us. And I see that as a sign that I must stop. Thank you.